Welcome, everybody, to Energy Geek Speak on the beloved Evolve Within Love group YouTube channel. Welcome. Today we have another conversation with me, of course, Love Evolve Energy, Christine Marguerite. There's my new logo. What do you guys think of that? And with a dear friend of mine, we will be talking about divine creatrix. I have a workshop coming up, as does my dear friend Kelsey Kinsey White. She does a lot of different things with spirituality. She has a program coming up entitled Embodied CREATRIX, which is the second iteration of a program, and she's evolving it. I have Divine Creatrix, New Moon Revivification, yet another small group session coming up on March 7th, a week away. I have, I think, 2 spots left in this, and it's going to be an intense, gorgeous energy session. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about Kelsey's upcoming program, and we're going to be unpacking our notions of divine creatrix. So relax, sit back, join us for this conversation. It's gonna be a blast. The class I just participated in with you was Embodied Priestess, and that has become Embodied Creatrix in its next incarnation. Excuse me. And so I'm just like, can you give me a map of that? Like, how did you come? And you can talk as long as you want. Like, you don't have to be pithy at all. How did you come into that title, and what was the map, the journey there, and then what was the journey to this new thing? And I know it's about to launch, right? I mean, within you as a embodied creatrix yourself, it's kind of already launched.
Yeah.
But for the offering to the public, to the rest of us,
yes.
Did I ask, like, is that understandable, the question?
Yes, it is.
Right, sweet. Tell me. I'm so curious.
Well, I think firstly, the whole premise of the program is like I talk about it, how it's not really a teaching program. It's not so much education. That doesn't mean there isn't teaching or education involved, but for me, it's really about the container. It's about creating a spaciousness where people can experience themselves and their magic in medicine. That was kind of like my tagline. And so the priestess, honestly, I wasn't even sold on the priestess title. I wanted to work with women or people who socialize as female. So I wanted something in the title without explicitly like saying like, no men allowed or something like something that really, kind of embodied feminine energy. And one day priestess popped in my head and I just ran with it because I was like, that's magic, that's alchemy. So I can get behind that. And I just started there and decided I didn't have to be tied to it and just let that work. But as I was in the program, and you were in it, we talked so much about our beingness and our creator energy. And really the whole program is like, how can I facilitate experiences with myself that allow me to unlock my artistry, to unlock and experience and express my creator energy, my magic, my alchemical ability, to shift and to transmute. And so I don't know, creatrix then just came to me because we're talking about creation and our creator energy and our creator processes. And I was like,
yes,
that's perfect, because that then it feels more, I felt like creatrix is more freedom in the artistry. Priestess feels a little almost ritual or something, like I'm teaching you specific ritual or ceremony.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm providing tools, but it isn't, like we said, like the tool can become the prison. So it's not about the tool itself. It's about how you relate to it, how you engage it, how you use it to experience you and your power and your artistry. So that's why I liked creatrix a little bit more. It's a little more freeing in that artistry. I don't know.
Yes. So when you are, I have this really spawned so many other questions in me. So I love that how you describe it as your main intention was to create a container in which magic and what was the other word? Magic,
Alchemy, maybe medicine.
magic and out in which those things could arise.
Yes.
Right. And so this, so when that's created, do you feel that you're having the experience as well? Are you so you're holding and being held at the same time?
Yes. Ooh, yeah. I've never used those words before, but yes. Because I think, and this is what I love so much about it. As the facilitator, I would say, like I have to surrender to have my own experience to sort of demonstrate
Yes.
and hold space for that to like ripple out and other people to have their own experiences. So yeah, like when I'm having my own whole like spiritual experience every time we like, coach, or every time I like release a module. And that's really like, that's the depth that I hope comes across.
Oh my God. Yes.
I hope,
it totally comes across. And can I just say that was because you held strong to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I really felt that divine feminine strength. And maybe those are too many words. It's just what you embodied.
Yeah.
And you embodied the example of the teaching.
Mm-hmm. That makes me so full.
That's what? Say that again.
My heart's so full.
Oh, I'm so glad. And I really felt your stick-to-itiveness with that.
Mm-hmm.
Just no. This is the example I'm setting. Nope, this is the example again and again and again, teaching by example. And I don't know if it was so clear to you what you were doing, but on the receiving end, I'm holding space and I'm setting an example of what is being offered so that everybody can have their experience.
Yeah. And everyone can play into it as much as they're ready,
Yeah.
That came across too, is like I'm going to ask you to stretch yourself a little bit, but like also you get to be the creator of your own experience. And so whatever you're ready for, like we are open for business. You dip your toes in or jump in full blast. Like, you know what I mean? Because I think it takes it, there's a warming up period. Like, it's not like I expect everyone to just, jump in.
Yes.
Right. But I think we'll all get better at holding space for each other to do these kinds of things. Like not even just in this program. I mean, like in the world at large, and trusting ourselves to like push our edges even more and, to be vulnerable and visible. And like, that's what I want in the world at large. Right. So it's like, how can I make it in a container and so that we can all build and flex those muscles and then, bring more of ourselves out into the world, outside of the container.
Yes, it reminds me of something I've heard you say, that you, as a mission statement, you are anchoring the ripple.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And that really hit me when I heard you say that the other day, anchoring the ripple. And this is one of those.
Right, because I think sometimes we get so overwhelmed by the big vision or the big ideas. Big and how impact and impactful is a word I use all the time. Words I use all the time, but even that can be overwhelming sometimes. And it's like you have so much influence and impact just in your family, like in your tiny circles, in your friendships. Like, so it's like just start there. And if that's where your impact and influence and your mission lies, then that's beautiful and it's perfect and it's whole and it's holy and like that's enough. Your reach has to be a giant audience, so it's like, how can it's kind of the depth over breadth. How can we just go with where we are and what we have and fully commit to that? Because that's what creates the ripple,
Yes, and I think that the visionaries like us, we forget, and especially the younger people coming up that automatically have that Aquarian era
Yeah.
mindset of
Yeah.
big visions and blah,
Yes.
that the anchoring piece is
Mhm.
something you and I both talk about is just be now.
Mhm.
Just be present in what's available now
Yes.
and now and now and
Yeah.
now. And I really feel like that's a lot. That's one of the teachings that you offered in this last
Mhm.
iteration. And I imagine the one coming up is that it's only ever, I mean, I totally sound like Eckhart Tolle right now.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But just now and what's right here and how no matter how challenging that is, that's the beginning of the massive tsunami of a ripple that maybe you want or maybe you don't want.
Right. It's
But
looking at everything. Yeah.
yeah, it,
Here, right now. What can I do? What can I
and if you skip that, good luck, right? Have fun on that wave.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think that's what got me here, is that overwhelm, that light worker pressure,
wicked. Yes.
Mm. Yeah, and like the beginning of my spiritual journey or awakening as we call it, like it was such a weird experience for me because it was so I don't even know what I've always felt connected to my humanity, to being embodied. I never really felt like I wanted to escape, my humanity. I knew I was here for a reason and I embraced all of that. Yet at the same time, I didn't know how to work it, you know?
Yeah.
All of my spiritual like practices and my meditations and all of these things were in hindsight experiences of me escaping kind of reality, I'm
Yeah.
using the tool as an escape mechanism.
Yes.
I had the most profound beautiful experiences. I obviously wouldn't take any of it back because it's got me to where I am now and all of those things, but it was that process of figuring out, okay, I'm actually leaving myself to go have these profound spiritual like epiphanies and experiences and all of these things. How can I stay here and bring it all down? Because what would happen is I'd come back into my body, I'd end my meditation,
Yes.
and I'd feel all the love. I would feel like, holy shit, like the world is so big and God and universe and everything, it's all connected and it's all so amazing, but like what the fuck do I do with that,
Yes.
so I bring all those things down here so that I can actually use this as an amplifier and an enhancer of all that, not the other way of escaping it.
Yes.
And so that's the whole embodiment piece of all of my work. It's really owning our humanity, our identity, and seeing all of those things not as inherently flawed or broken or hindrances or blocks to our spirituality and our magic and our alchemy and our creator energy, but truly instruments of enhancement. So like they are the vessel, like the portal for all of that to come through, because this is where we have creator energy.
Yes. I was
Like your
just going to
point,
say.
consciousness would exist somewhere else, and it does, but like you're here so that you can be the artist here. So like how do you meld those two worlds?
Yes.
That's that embodied creatrix piece. It's really owning our our
Yes.
uniqueness. Like, and if you think about it, like everything about your unique qualities and characteristics, your persona, your perspective, the way your mind works, the way your energy body operates, because all of us have different structures and the ways that we process energy. Like all of these things were divinely designed by the living essences that animate you so that they would be a perfect portal, a perfect amplifier, and
Yes.
we're constantly trying to fix ourselves and change ourselves instead of just,
Make wrong ourselves.
yes,
Thank you very much.
yes, instead of just allowing those things to be the beautiful amplifiers that they are. And that's that kind of new Aquarian age piece, I think, is
Yes.
where I talk a lot about old paradigm and new paradigm kind of spirituality. I feel like old paradigm spirituality is like these are the tools, or these are the chakras, or these are the chants, or these are the mantras, or whatever. Like, so do these things and, and be spiritual or be happy or what have you. And I feel like for me, the new paradigm kind of work is that, um, here's the container, here's the spaciousness, here's some ideas, like, but let's create the the energy for, or the spaciousness, I don't know, the situation, the environment for you to actually kind of create your own tools, right? This
Yes.
the land, or a launching point, this tool, but how do you actually experience that tool versus me telling you how it should feel or be, so that you're actually creating your own system and structure for being you.
I do. Yes.
Like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to teach anymore. And I don't even want to, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to teach the tools so much as I want to, like, create safe space for people to use them in their own way and feel safe enough to try using it in their own way.
I love this. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like, we need the tools, and we need the people that are going to teach us the tools, because we all got to start somewhere. So we all
Hmm.
need the role models that's going to, like, that we can, like, model ourselves after to get started and stuff. So there's like a space for that, but it's just not what turns me on anymore. So I want like the, like, okay, I have all the knowledge, but, like, how do I actually use it in a way that feels good for me? I'm like, come on over, let's create the space for you to feel safe enough to trust yourself to explore that and experience it and do it, and.
Yes. It's so, I feel like that's all, everything you just unpacked there. I feel like that's the soul essence of
Mhm.
Creatrix.
Yes.
I feel like that's like the heartbeat
Yeah.
of it in a way.
Mhm.
And it's, I mean, I have so much to ask about and so much to reflect on that about, but that's, I feel like in some ways it's a big ask and an essential ask at the same time, to allow people, to ask people to continually jump off the ledge of who you believe yourself to be, and
Mhm.
who are you asking yourself to be, and what is actually possible. And I remember back in the old days, it's reminding me of, and it's when I was a yoga teacher, like full on, and then abandoned that. All you can do as a yoga teacher is create a space for someone to have an experience of their body.
Mhm.
And everything that the body is an anchor for in incarnation, which was in parentheses. And at that time, 20, 25 years ago, you couldn't, that the world wasn't really ready for it, or the environments I was in weren't really ready for the kind of experience you're talking about,
Yeah.
right? Like, to become the tuning fork.
Mhm.
It's kind of your purpose, right? That you're already the perfect tuning fork. And as you begin to vibrate with the thing, stuff will just naturally, organic, begin to fall off. Now it's up to the mind, your ego mind, which can be like the manager that thinks it's suddenly the CEO
Yeah.
of you, and it's not. And
Yeah.
that's where the resistance is, right? And so while you're, I'm not safe to vibrate this way and to move in to this whole thing. Anyway, I'm probably talking about a million different things at once. I'm just wanting to reflect back to you. Yeah. And the timeliness of, how can people really receive this in a conscious way? Back
Mhm.
in the day, it's almost creating an experience, and letting them slip on the banana peel of truth into an experience of their authenticity. And for me, it was a political act. Don't listen to advertisement, listen to yourself. What's it
Mhm.
going to take for you to listen to yourself? Was my subtext.
Mhm.
Now, it doesn't have to be a subtext.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we can have classes like yours, the Embodied CREATRIX, where it goes, where you just pinpoint who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you? Who are you?
Yeah.
And if you just keep asking that over and over again in a safe space, like you're doing, lo and behold, some answers arise. And like you said, like I know in our group, some people were super active and some people just kind of, I don't know where they disappeared to, like they fell away. I assume by choice. I don't know what was going on. I didn't ask. I don't know. I was so like in my process. As somebody like who offers to just let go of the teacher leader role and to just like be and receive and be in it, such a gift. So thank
I feel
you.
that way too. I love doing other things because I get to surrender. And
You get to, right? And you don't have to do the thing. It's just and so I started my whole talky talk right here by saying the big ask is the essential, timely, necessary ask of what we're really moving into now. And granted, I mean, you have training in psychology and the embodiment stuff, so you know as well as I do, this is not novel. People have been talking about this for 100 years. But how are we going to talk about it now so that it can be heard now? And you don't have to talk about your grandma who's talking about this in the 40s. Like, we're still talking about it. It's not like you talk about it once and it's done. Like, enlightenment's not like that. Insights aren't like that. Your divine creatrix, you're like, oh, I know who she is. Close the door. Okay, it's done. It's like not. Maybe talk about that a bit. And I remember you talking about, and maybe you have something else to touch on now. If you do, go for it. But this sort of spiraling, which is very much the divine feminine feel too, the again. And part of the embodiment thing is it's not one fell swoop and you're done. It's a continually repeating and going over. And I call that like a soaking in again and again. Yeah.
I mean, I just would call it creation or evolution. I mean, there's no end, right? There's no arrival. Like there's no end game to you becoming more of yourself or to you discovering your magic or your power or like your creator energy. So I think it's that there is no arrival piece. It is just a never ending journey. Like this is eternity. You know what I mean? Like this
yes.
I'm
jumping off my ball.
At some point. But like you're in eternity right now. And I don't know if that's helpful or scary for some people, but you know what I mean? Like, there's just no end to you honing your craft, whatever that is, of you being you. And so it's this continual refining.
Yes.
Learning how to really work with our system in optimal ways, in ways that feel good. And it's like the more we grow, the more the vision grows. And so it's just there's just always more refining and more tweaking and more honing and more creating with what we have, right? Because if the now is all there is, there's always something there to create with. So it's like
there's never not nothing. Like it's not that's
right?
not the nature of manifestation it is manifest.
Right. Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
It so reminds me of, and maybe you have stuff around this too, when I was back in grad school, one of the big ideas in religion is that in terms of religious practice, in terms of mysticism, which we call spiritual practice now, is the whole emphasis towards ascending. And that group of practitioners on the planet at any given time in the history of humans would be called the ascenders, as opposed to the descenders. What you're doing, what I'm doing, what Tantra in the Hindu tradition has done is no, it's here now. It's in the embodied experience. And that whole impulse, and you were talking about that before, of get me the flip out of here ASAP. And I'm using these tools and techniques because I have free will and I can use them any way I want to use them. I'm ascending, and getting out of here has nothing to do with personality. And my expression at a higher level, it's a divine archetype. And eventually it's Christine, or it's Kelsey, or it's somebody else with a name, who has probably a whole panoply of archetypes that they're functioning with. That whole
But like that's the gift.
go.
Yeah. Take this fundamental creator archetypal principle energy, and I get to fucking make something of it. I get to personify it. I get to embody it. Like, that's what we're here for. Like, so that's what, like, I hear you, like, it's the, how do I bring it down? It's not the ascend, like, I'm already that. How do I breathe life into it? How do I give it a voice? How do I make it manifest in actions, words, deeds, impact those things? Like, that's the gift. And that's the embodied creatrix, like, energy, it's that, like,
so let's
canvas. How do I paint with all of that juicy living essence archetypal energy and create something from it?
So let's talk about that loop a little, that whole eros agape thing, where you're that loop of divine embodied, I'm not sure what the right languaging is, but that conversation, that dynamic of the both and, of where I'm coming back to, and maybe that's a theme that I have to unpack here, the revisiting again, the whole spiraling, the here I am, and how does this archetype, which is fed by some source that I'm going to call true, good, and beautiful, coming in and resonating with a creatrix archetype. How do I express that? How does Christine express that? And what is that exploration? Not just once, but it's not like, oh, here I am. It's a repeated. So I don't even know what the question here is for you, Kelsey. And it's I feel like that it continues. Like, one question would be the dialogue implies two. I'm having a dialogue with other, I thou, or this and that. And what are we evolving towards, where when it's this old, perhaps it's an old school idea of eros agape. I pray, I receive messages, and the divine needs a vessel to be received. And you just keep that loop going. There's so much division in that. And perhaps we're moving towards a sense where there is, in every cell of our being, divinity. And we're already working with the idea, but there's not as much separation, that it's not more powerful or distinct from. And I feel like that is a tool, like an old tool that we have used to help us feel safe in whatever that expression is. And perhaps that tool is fading away. And how do these these minds of our current personalities and mindsets that were trained by what has come before is now that has to drop away as we evolve into the new mindset. And that could take 1,000 years to really.
Okay, so I have two things I want to say. One,
throw it all out.
I talk about the embodied experience or the incarnated experience as a remembrance, because you've done this before, but you're remembering how to be you in a new way, meaning you're remembering how to personify those archetypal energies, those soul essences, but in a new context, in a new time, space, reality, born into a new family, new body, new all of these things, new personality, right? So it's a you're remembering how to be you, but in a whole new way. You get to create
Yes.
personification of those fundamental principles. Like that's kind of the looping, right? Again, evolution, creation, it's never ending. There's no end game. So it's just, right? Energy doesn't die, it's just transform. So it's just that being made new again, right? Those fundamental energies creating something new. So
Alchemies, which is one of your word. That's the
yes.
alchemy. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's both the same and different, it's all of that
Yeah.
are made new, expressed in a different way. But also the whole mind piece, like you said something earlier about the ego mind being kind of like, I don't know, this something that all of a sudden thinks it's a CEO, and I like use that analogy as well. It's like the executive assistant, but sometimes when boss is out of town, it's I'm taking care,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it's a role. It has a purpose, and
Yeah.
it's learning just how to again optimize it, how to make it work for soul, how to make it work as the executive assistant in its rightful place, and not be the micromanager. Um, I heard something the other day from um God, where did I hear it? I can't remember, but it was like, when you doubt something so hard, like you're just like, this is not working. Like there is no way that this is going to work. Like, do you hear the confidence in that? You are confidence already. Just direct your confidence into something else. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
that's ego brain. Like so
Yeah.
like that's an instrument, that's a tool. It's just how we relate to it, how we engage, right? It's just that it's such a subtle shift, but it's like you have so much gift and power. I just need to funnel it in the right direction. So it's yeah, it's not even this fixing our ego mind or like it's just the tuning, you know what I mean? But it's so hard. It's really just the tuning of the dial.
Yes. I think
Like,
the most profound stuff is that subtle.
yes.
But what's funny about that, it's almost the more subtle it is, the more profound
Yeah.
and life changing it is.
Because it's something you have to experience. You can't just hear about
Oh,
it. You have
a
to feel it.
yes, amen. And like I just get thrown back to all my years in Buddhist and Dharma circles, right? Like there's so much sharpness of mind, and you actually have to do the nitty gritty of having an experience,
Right.
right? And then you end up being a woo woo person and then having conversations with another woo woo so that you can talk about and really emphasize the nuances. I feel
Yeah.
like that's where the gold is, Kelsey.
Right. And that's back to the container idea of
Yeah.
so many people are teaching and telling you how to do it, but like, how do we actually create the space where we can be it, feel it,
Yes.
it, and then process it out loud so that it actually integrates and digests, and we can then do it again and go even deeper and build even more. Like that's the magic I want to do.
I love that magic. And it's something like, it doesn't like a way, a truth is that, oh, this could be a self empowerment through authenticity in my heart and my belly and my body. And I want to tweak that because I think that is a limiting concept. And I think it's the phenomenological experience of it doesn't feel like power. It
Mhm.
simply feels like alignment
Mhm.
and ease and
Mhm.
truth and excitement
Yeah.
and love and play. And it almost feels more relaxed
Yes.
and more open.
Mhm.
It's, and yeah, and the possibilities and
Mhm.
it's not I I wouldn't use the word self-empowerment. It doesn't feel like power.
Mhm.
And almost for me, and this is my personal languaging and how I use these pieces of language, these words, more authenticity, I think is how I used to describe it.
Mhm.
That's that's a truth. That's not true.
Right.
However, to think it's only that is a lie. For me to say it's just self-empowering, it's just finding my own authenticity and paths to expressing that. If I just leave it there, that's not the whole truth. And for me, it's misleading. It's this other, just like, like when you finally go to the spa, you go to the hot tub and you just go, and you just let yourself soak and you go, oh, this is what I needed to feel relaxed and whole. I feel like there's such significance in that piece.
For me, it's freedom. Like that's
for you, it's freedom.
Yeah.
Right?
Like freedom for me is the umbrella that encompasses all of that. It's like the relaxing, the spaciousness, the potential, the possibility, like the joy, the pleasure, like
the aha.
Yeah, the aha.
And that's so funny because during class we talked, you and I talked about this, right?
Yeah.
One, it's nice to talk to another human being alive at the same time as me who's had similar experiences and is trying to find language to accurately describe this kind of thing. So I thank you for that, Kelsey Kinsey White. And my word was delight, which surprised me. It in a way it didn't at all, because that's when I light up, right? When I'm hunting and looking for the awe and the delight, that's what the boosh feels like for me. And I don't mean like, what was that celebrity? Wasn't that a word? Boosh? Somebody start?
I don't know.
There was like some meme. I'm not talking about that. I'm just, I don't know. I'm just like expressing creatively what the thing was. And I feel like that's what your upcoming iteration of this is to consciously leap off the cliff, or to trip and fall if that's what your manager of the CEO needs to do. So that to trip and fall into the and that's the aha moments that you've always known. Anyway, that's what that's what I'm hoping's coming. That's what
I want to go deeper. I want to go harder. I want to
deeper, harder,
more,
bigger, faster.
My own edges. Yeah. I'm excited. But I think this whole like, how do we create these experiences, and how do we create spaces where we feel safe enough to really actually explore ourselves and experiment with ourselves and experience ourselves? It was making me think of something I heard the other day from Colin Bedell, I think his name is. He's a astrologer. He was actually talking about this Virgo moon. Queer Cosmos is his handle, and I love him so much. Sometimes I can't like articulate the like of the feels and the things I want to say, and I can't find the right words and the language, and this man just like gets on the internet and says the most beautiful things, and I'm like, repost what you said, because I can't make that with my mouth.
I love that.
He was just talking about the moon, but this last Virgo moon, but something he said, I was just like, oh my God, how do you do this? Like, this is exactly how I would describe the embodied creatrix kind of journey. And he basically said, there's this beautiful space of kind of both andness. I'm totally paraphrasing him, of course, but where we can take the world seriously and not take ourselves so seriously. And I was like, holy shit, because, I'm always talking about that exploration and experimentation and that playfulness and that curiosity, kind of like, this is even a concept in, the spiritual community, is that childhood kind of innocence, right? That open, fresh mind. And so how do we how do we not take ourselves so seriously and be willing to play and experiment and create and find ourselves and try things and fuck it up or be messy and then
Yes.
and it as we go and not take all of that so seriously
Yes.
that we can actually show up in big wild ways in the world or in our circles and take that seriously, you know, because if we can be the adaptable, flexible, malleable creatrix or magician or alchemist, then we can be that much more fully like impactful in those serious spaces that really need shift or transformation or healing or space holding or whatever, you know, advocates, you know. And so like
Yes.
the like I was like, that's really kind of captures what this whole container conversation and the embodied creatrix conversation. How can we create spaces where people feel safe enough to just be and play so that when they go out into the world at large, they know how to carry that through it. Yeah.
It's so interesting. I love that explanation. And it's incredibly familiar and so timely, like how that is languaged. And I, of course, I adore you, and your paraphrase works for me. I begin to think about when primarily I'm an energy worker, energy geek, which is not the perfect word for that, but it suffices.
Mm-hmm.
I open up, I receive, I become a vortex, a channel, everybody else's guides and whatever stuff they need to have happen. I'm just the operator, like plugging in so this experience can happen. And that's my job. The world needs that at this moment in the way I offer, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm interested in projects like what you have coming up, the Embodied CREATRIX, because as an energy worker, when I work with individuals, when I work with groups, the most I can do, because it's my intention and my honor and my commitment, is free will. And energy work happens. Sometimes there's conversation and sometimes there's dialogue. I can only lead a horse to water and drown it. I can't make it drink anything.
Yeah.
I can give it a floaty, but they have to take the floaty. They have to dive deep. You know that, so I will at times, I have an upcoming group, which, you know, I'll post links below, of course. It has to do with the moon. I'll talk about that in a second. But what I offer is shifts, is things can happen. And I empower everybody to, and there I am using that word again, to be their own healer, to take what works, what doesn't work. And it's interesting to see what the rest of each individual wave ripple is after that. Just because things are regridded and perhaps new insights happen doesn't mean it'll stick. Doesn't mean it will hold. I can do energy work until the cows come home, and I sometimes do. And those cows will keep coming home and they'll moo away in the barn all night, and all that was done on behalf of the receiver of my offering could potentially collapse because of their readiness to take up the mantle, to take on. I cannot integrate for them. I cannot do the work for them. I cannot create the structures for them. And so my upcoming class, I have a group small group energy healing holding session around this topic specifically, which is why we're talking now, because I'm so crazy interested in it. And some work will be done in reflection. You know, it's like a 90-minute, 2-hour event of it's specific to energy healing, which can be silent, or it's just breath, or it happens on different levels. There's something else that gets offered when you're in a group of creatrixes, people that like that word, and they're working on it playing with it over the course of time. It begins to influence the middle management team that is your mind. it's like a convincing process so that whatever I or anybody else could offer in terms of energy has an opportunity to really stick, to really make that. I can only jumpstart it. I can only, by choice, have that influence, which is sometimes timely. But there's something about this continual soaking in. And so I am going to mention it to the 6 people that are in it to, sign up for Kelsey's thing, because it just lets it move in deeper and to actually help the energy work really work.
Right. It's like planting the seed or amending the soil and then like watering it,
Yeah, you don't water it once.
Right.
You can. You can. You can do whatever you want. Right. And sometimes, people come to me because they're already doing their work, because they're already, and they need a little push. They're like, oh yeah, that. All right, let me get something with that. Right. And that is what they needed more often than not. And sometimes it's helpful to have an ongoing, because really the ongoing happens in the time-space reality, which is where your entire middle management team functions.
That's the part that lights me up, is the ongoing.
Yes.
That's what I want to do. I don't know. I think we talked about this a little bit in the last group, or in our last call within the group, but I think there's, I don't know. I think we're really, it's funny because I call myself a coach too. And I like that word right now. I don't know if I always will. I feel like I'm always changing titles and things.
Yeah.
But there's kind of like a sort of a stigma, if you will, or there, not so much anymore, but there used to be kind of about in the coaching industry, because you only get a coach if you can't manage, if you can't figure it out on your own.
Yeah, the stigma says,
and I don't know, there's this beautiful place of no, man, I'm in ownership of all that I'm capable of, and so I'm gonna have someone help me focus that and funnel that and create optimal systems of expressing that,
Oh yes.
The kind of container piece, because it gets to be that environment where I am having support, or even if I'm not seeking direct guidance, I get to process out loud and have my own epiphanies of how to optimize my system, and that's what I'm here for.
I love the shoulders, the jazz. So, I want to talk a little bit about your upcoming. It starts in April. Are you working with guides, as we might call them? Is that part of how Kelsey's being coached? How does that? Okay. No.
I had some guide relationships in the beginning of my journey. And now I just talk to soul. That's just how I phrase it. Source inside or soul. And I don't really have I don't have an individualized team anymore. Or, I mean, not that I don't, who knows? I don't really do it in that way. Right. It is much more of that in my mind. It's kind of mapped out in that living essences, values, archetypal kind of fundamental principle energies. How do they want to move through me to become something? And so it feels very much just like me or soul. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, that
just works for me. Right? It could be anything. I think other people really love the idea of okay, today I'm going to channel the alchemist, or today I'm going to channel the magician or the creatrix, or whatever that means, or today I'm going to channel freedom or love. And so we talk about that in the program too. But what's working for me right now is just soul, whatever that is. just
bring it.
That come through, right?
So to kind of wrap it up, tell me about what this coming, are you calling it a course? Are you calling it a class?
I think program is just
what this coming program, what can be said about it? What do you want to say about it? What can be said about it right now as we move into it?
It's so hard because there's so many things. Like, how do I articulate it all? I would say primarily this program is meant to be a space or a community or a container for you to really explore, experiment with, and experience yourself. It is about you becoming more you. And so, yes, there are tools, yes, there are techniques, there are practices, but really it's about finding the safety and the trust within yourself to actually play with these things and to stretch your edges and to see what's possible and to just do it even if it's weird, to see what happens and see what, what comes of it, right? I don't know, it's kind of like, wine and paint nights were a big thing.
Yes, oh my God, yes.
It's like, you go and they're like, okay, we're going to create a replica of this painting and I'll teach you all the layering and how to like do it. And everybody's comes out unique, but it's still like a replica. Like, whereas I want like this program for an analogy to be like, okay, you have the tools, you have the paint, you've replicated a couple things before. Like what's the masterpiece inside you come out and be expressed,
I do.
I don't know how I find it hard to like market or describe it because I feel like it's so many things that I don't know how to package it all together. It's manifestation. Like it's a lot of goal and like decision making and how can I commit to what it is I want to create and really owning your power to decide what it is you want and get to create. Like, we're so conditioned that there's a one right path for me to live my purpose and one right job or relationship or whatever. And it's like, how can I find the spaciousness and the freedom to really just create whatever my masterpiece is and let it unfold over time? And so, yeah, it's manifestation, it's embodiment. We get into our body, we actually communicate with the body. We like, alchemize mental energy, emotional body energy. We like create and experience our emotions as sensations and messengers. Like I don't know, it's all the things. I don't know.
You do know, and that is super clear.
But this is, I know because I've experienced it. It's like, that's the, how do I describe something that is purely experiential, come experience it.
Girl, that's our task, isn't it?
Yes.
You just hang enough flags.
Yeah.
And you hoist them and you say, maybe this flag, does this resonate? And then people notice the flag and then they come and then they have an experience, right? Yeah. Like it's the best we can do.
Yeah. I think, if you're someone that wants to sort of kind of like we talked about earlier, that, I'm kind of escaping to experience myself. How do I have that experience in my body? Yes. Of my humanity, of my identity, and all of those unique things that make me this beautiful, divinely designed instrument. How do I really own those things and play with them and not take myself so seriously? Yes. In serious ways in the world. If that's where you're at, and if that's what you want to really experiment and explore and build your muscles in, then that's what this program space is for, Yes. And not so that you can, not take yourself so seriously and release that sort of light worker pressure that we talk about.
Yes.
Like, what am I supposed to do? How do I do it? How do I serve? How do I make an impact? Like all of that pressure, it's a space to kind of release all of that and learn to be yourself, because that's the fucking answer. Like you're the magic you've been waiting for, but like, it's so true. It's so true.
It's so true.
So how do you experience that? Build it like a muscle and then go out into the world. You.
Right? And this is why I want to take this program over and over and over again, just to get that muscle really strong.
Yeah. And I think there is like a format and a structure and everything, but I really think that there's so much room for how it can be utilized. Because I think if we have mixed groups, there will be new people who are kind of like taking the sort of learning educational piece for the first time and kind of digesting that. But they're also like, there's so much space for just as like container or community for people who are like, wherever I am, I can kind of just be in the transmission of this mindset and this beingness and just like, yeah, continue to optimize the system and flex that muscle. If I'm creating something really big and I just want the extra people behind me to keep me like in my ownership of my decision, or just in maintenance, I just want to like explore what I'm capable of. I think it has a lot of.
It does. A lot of room, a lot of flexibility. I mean, essentially, because you bring you to it. And by, ipso facto, you bring you. And so therefore, it will be whatever you bring to it and you need. I love that. I'm super excited about it. So I feel like I'll talk about my stuff just a tiny bit here, and then I want you to share the specifics, just where people can find it and find you. I have this upcoming, I'm in deep transition right now, which you know all about because you've held space for me. You've helped me move through a lot of this, and some things of my offering feel like they still have life and excitement and my delight and awe in them. And some things are being reworked and dismantled, etc. And one of the things that is holding is how I follow the new moon energy. And you and I have talked about just the newness and the new beginning. It just, something about it feels really good to me. The whole release and rebirth, I'm all about. Particularly the release. Anyway, so in this, I'm calling them new moon revivifications. And it's small group energy healings. I decided just to work with 6 because there's something about a small group that just felt right at this moment. And I've been moving, essentially, what I'm doing in these group sessions is talking to middle management in a very conscious level, but from behind the scenes, working on the unconscious and subconscious and the deep aspects of self and before there's a self kind of energy. Some people call that Akash or source energy. It depends. And I have my whole lineage of embodiment where I really work with elemental energies and dragons and dakinis and the earth elementals, which is a sense, in essence, my body is every element. Working from archetypes, and really, middle management is really just be in their bonnet and pull up the butt about archetypes, making grasp onto those. So this time around, I'm moving from wounded genius. We all know what that is, right? From Vincent van Gogh to, oh no, I can't, that whole dance of victimhood. While your gaze is still on your brilliance, all the blame, shame, archetypes that go with that the middle management of mind loves those for a reason. And that's beautiful. But shifting from those in an energetic sense, they have structure on the 6th, 7th, and 8th dimensions. There's a literal structure that I perceive because my clairseeing is whatever it is. Really good, guys, really good. From that into divine creatrix, which is simply what already is minus constriction. And if the middle management can soak in that for 2 hours, it's like, oh, I just soaked in this hot tub of the awesomeness of self. And some of it's conscious because I have writings about it. And I'd say, this is what the workshop is. Everybody show up. And I'll talk a little bit, but so much of it happens when I'm in session and go into that altered state and my breathing changes and sounds are made and channelings come through, that's wild card. That's whatever that specific group of 6 people need
Right.
in that moment to assist in a deeper shift. And I know the middle management also talks to the part, the thinking, analytical, left brain talks to the symbolic mind, to the ritualized sacred mind. And so that's kind of in these, not kind of, but I suspect very much that in this particular group energy session, from Wounded Genius to Divine Creatrix, that symbology, that critical or left brain middle management can sit down with the sacred mind and actually have a conversation that you, as a person showing up, I mean, there are a lot of energy workers already in it, so they already know. But there's one person who doesn't, and that's fine. You don't have to.
Right.
There's something about being in presence with, even when it's through the ethers, that has an effect. And it simply has to do with the basking in one's own receptivity, which can perhaps be divine feminine as just an action or a pattern of the receptive vessel. Perhaps. Perhaps that has and maybe that's why I said creatrix. I just kind of like the word. I just kind of like, there's something sexy about it. There's something that lights people up. There's a beam that happens when that word is. Well, anyway, so that's my offering. And what I will offer everybody that comes is to just sign up for Kelsey's thing, because it just continues the work. That program continues if they want to continue, if that has meaning. I mean, last month, that theme was different, had to do with like wounded healer. We all know that. The nurturer, the fixer, into divine, the divine holder of space and fixer. And then later on, it will be around leadership. That happens in April, where it's like the wounded activist and the wounded leader. Where you're functioning and leadership skills, activists fire up skills from fear and anxiety, which underneath that is ouch. And there's another way to be an activist of love and a leader from this other. Anyway, that's the work that I can offer now in little drops, in little little atomic bombs that get dropped into. It doesn't have to be that harsh. Maybe that was not the best example, but that's how it.
Infusions, it really is receivership. I mean, about all that's what I hear is you're facilitating receivership, like you said. Receivership of what already is without the constriction, right? It's that freedom of all of these things, but without the box or the prison that what did you call it? The management wants to put around it.
Yes. It's an opportunity. There's no forcing. It will happen. It won't happen. Everybody has their own process and their own connection to source and their own guides and their own angels or whatever they work with. And so that's none of my beeswax. That's between them and them, or whatever their particular system is. However, it's an intentional space. And with a theme. And so the likelihood of that opening to being receiving, the potential is there. That's the pond I'm leading the horses to.
I know exactly what that feels like, like it's kind of, it's this kind of work, I suppose, I guess this could translate all over anywhere in anything, but just in what we're doing is that kind of, again, that spaciousness. Like you're doing all the work, but you're creating the space and holding the space for them to be in an experience, to work with energy, to experience energy, to receive themselves, to receive these operational, things, right? It's that, again, the experiential piece for
Yes.
to use. It's hard. It's easy and it's hard because there's that whole, our middle management the whole time is going, oh my God, are they going to drink? Are they going to drink? The water's right in front of them. Are they going to take a sip? Are they going to do it? And it's like the hard part is just the self-trust that it takes to be a
Oh my God.
to let that go and just let them be in whatever level of receivership they are ready and willing for, and not, like washing our hands of that and just, holding the space anyway. Like that was something that I really experienced this whole time around.
Did you?
Yeah, of like, okay, like I want this to be big and magical and because I'm gonna experience something fucking wild. Like, what are these? So it's hoping that big for them. But then, like, on Zoom, it's like looking at people's faces and like there's blank faces, there's like confused faces, and I'm like, okay, this is working. I don't know how. I just know it is. Like,
I do.
Yeah,
right?
I'm
And
sure.
like, not up to us. Completely not up to us. They came. They signed up.
Right?
I don't mean that in a defensive way, but like, what a challenge for our middle management to really, it kind of reminds me of stage fright. Like up to a certain point, because I have been on the stage for a lot of my life.
Yeah.
You're freaking the flip out until the moment you step out there.
Yep.
And then there's a kind of forgetting. And there's a kind of, say that again?
A surrender almost. Like, well, here we are.
Yeah, here we are. And there's no, you just let go. And there's a momentum. It's like a roller coaster ride, and you just step on, and it's scary before you get on the little roller coaster cart. But once you're in it,
Yeah.
You can't jump out.
Right.
I mean, you can. And again, good luck.
Yeah.
But like you just, holding space, right? You just.
Like that's where my growth was this time around,
Yeah.
Yeah.
People with tears.
Yeah.
People like
blank. Like what? All the things.
Resting bitch face.
Yeah.
And for some of us, it's like, this is my happy face. What is Kelsey talking about?
I'm one of those people.
Are you?
It's just like my happy face is just like, people are like, are you okay? And I'm like, what do you mean? Or how are you doing today? I'm fucking great. Like, why are you asking me that?
Why are you asking? What's going on there? That's a whole other conversation, right? But like, how do you, and we don't have to do it now. I think about like, I'm going to use a word that I'll take back in a minute. How purified is our expressing vessel, right? So if I'm feeling ecstatic joy, what's happening in my habits, my muscle, nervous system habits that is not allowing that to shine forth here?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder.
But also too, what are like other people's expectations about what it's supposed to look like?
Yeah.
It's a lot there.
I love that stuff. It's fascinating. I mean, it's fascinating to poke at and look at. I don't know that there's anything I can do except observe it. But
yeah. But even that's just, that's the fascination piece. Like, do we even have to do anything with it? It's just. Oh
my God. Stay tuned, everybody.
Yeah.
As Kelsey and Christine move into deep trance meditative states, at the same time attempt to have a conversation. Join us next time on What the Woo
Just
Happened.
I love that. Oh,
What the woo? All right.
what the woo?
That's my new podcast. What the woo? I don't know. I just like invite my light worker friends to come up and we both get in like deep trance states and just see what happens. And pretty soon it's like Saint Germain and Archangel Uriel having conversation and like everybody's checked out except for this. Oh, all right. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Kelsey. This was awesome. Thanks for sharing so much. So tell us, well, I'll share my specifics, everybody. Are the upcoming one is March 7th. So that's a week from when this will be posted, I believe, but it's March 7th, 2021. It's 4 p.m. Eastern time. All the links are below and there's more writing about it and more links and more yada yada for everybody to explore. 4 p.m. Eastern. So that's, I think, 1 p.m. Pacific. And then, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5 hours later, if you're, Greenwich Mean Time. I don't know. You'd have to do the math. That's what it is. It's $35. I have a discount code floating around in space. Maybe people can find the discount code. Yay! And here's one thing I wanted to offer for this coming one. And I have another one happening on April 11th, I believe. They're all surrounded, focused on the full moon. So if the full moon's coming up, one's happening. But if you've signed up for Kelsey's Embodied CREATRIX, you get a special discount. Woohoo! But you have to let me know. You have to let me know and prove to me that you're signed up, not just because you say so. I would love to believe you, but you have to prove to me that you signed up for Kelsey's thing in 2021, and then you get a discount. It's only $35, so it's not like...
Yeah.
For some people that'll break the bank, but for some people it won't. So I look forward to seeing everybody there.
How long are they? How long do they run?
It's the last one was 90 minutes. This one, I believe, is going to be 2 hours. There's a lot of huge energies happening around this, and we're heading towards a new moon in Pisces in the whole Piscean season, and so that's creatrix depth, Persephone right there. And so maybe Persephone is more like scorpionic energy. Anyway, it's a lot of like numinous, get into the woo stuff. Yeah, so it's about 2 hours long. We will not go longer than 2 hours. And there's always, it's done on Zoom. People will get a Zoom link privately when they sign up through my website, and all that's down there. You will have an opportunity to download the recording if you want, and then you can just have it and replay it as you will. So that's my shiz. Kelsey, tell us some of the basic admin deets of what's happening with Embodied CREATRIX.
Embodied CREATRIX. It's a 9-week program, so it's a journey. 9-week program, container, community, as we've discussed. There are weekly modules. They're pretty short, but then there's a workbook that goes along with everything, which is really where all of the self-reflection and inner inquiry and kind of experiencing self stuff happens. And content drops every Monday. And then on Thursdays, we have a coaching call where we communicate, we process the things that we're discovering about ourselves, and we kind of explore those things and, play with experiencing them and feeling them and just talking them out loud so that we can process and digest and integrate all of those experiences. It's a coaching call as well. So, I'm there. Really, the coaching call is for us to process and for you to receive guidance directly from me. Like, this is where I'm at. How can I shift? How can I alchemize? How can I explore this? How can I play with this? How can I get into my beingness and facilitate with this? Right. So there's that kind of one-on-one piece that goes along with the community aspect as well. And it is, let's see, my website is kelseykinseywhitelight.com. Pretty sure it's / Embodied CREATRIX. That's how you can read about it. Of course, there will be links. And I'll be talking about it on my Instagram in the coming weeks. It starts April 5th, so a month and a little bit. So if you want to just kind of hear about it and hear me talk about it, you can follow me on Instagram at Kelsey Kinsey White, just to kind of, dip your toes in and see if it sounds good, see if it's something that you're ready for or willing to play with.
Great. So it starts April 5th. And there's regular calls on Thursdays,
At
specific
1
time?
Pacific.
Around 1 p.m. Pacific. And those go like an hour to 2 hours.
Yeah, an hour and a half to 2 hours for the most part. Yeah.
And those all happen on Zoom or Facebook. Where does this happen?
Zoom, all Zoom calls. We do have a community on Facebook, so that's where we'll have like group interaction and where we'll post and where we'll kind of convene. But the coaching calls are held on Zoom, and those are the replays are available in your student portal. There's a student portal on my website, which is kind of like the hub where all the content and the replays are dropped. But yeah, for the most part, we hang out in the Facebook group and keep in touch during the week and practice exploring and expressing and being visible and advocating for our needs and processing out loud and those kinds of things.
And they can register and pay for this on your website, and the link is below. And I don't know if you want to mention the cost, and if the workbook is included, or is it a separate price?
Yeah, the workbook is totally included.
Yay!
Everything's included. The price right now is $720 for the 9 weeks, and that is the early bird price, which ends, I want to say, on March 12th. And then the regular price is going to be, it's $900 for this 9-week program. So definitely get in now if you want to do it. And the beautiful thing is, because I really want this to be a community, like container, like we kind of talked about, something fluid and flexible where we can just sit in the transmission and continue to soak, as you say, and digest and integrate, and refine and optimize and become more of ourselves and express that more boldly and wildly and freely, because I really want it to be that kind of experience and program. I'm going to be offering alumni, like really, really, really low alumni, like 10% of total cost. I've just decided that's what I want to do, because that's the kind of thing I want to create.
That's gorgeous. Thank you.
Yeah, this is my baby, and it's just something I want to I'm just kind of putting all of my energy kind of here right now. So this will be iteration 2, round 2, but my goal is to launch it 3 or 4 times this year, just to really refine it and perfect it. I don't know if I'll do that every year from here on out. Might be once or twice kind of thing, but that's where I'm going for this year. So if you get in now, like, it's something that you'll have the alumni price forever. And if you ever want to take it again, you just get to, like, for literally almost no money,
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Beautiful. I'm super excited. I'm going to be participating again this time. I'm so excited. I can't even.
I love having you there. When we connected, and I was like, this just happened.
I love it.
I know, like, yeah, that's the whole, yeah. There's so many people that I just, yeah. To take it. I know that it will help. It can facilitate, again, it's kind of the horse to water, like how ready someone is and how willing. Like, it doesn't matter where you're at. Like, there's something in it for you that will help you unlock, that will help you experience. And you get to take that as deep as you want or don't, you know what I mean? But, yeah.
I love it. Creatrices. Trixes or treases?
I don't know.
All right. I'll look that up and I'll figure it out.
Try? No.
Great try. All right. So Thanks for joining me, Kelsey. Thank you so much. Thanks for everybody coming and hanging out with us and watching Energy Geek Speak. And please subscribe to this channel because we're rocking it. And please sign up for Kelsey's program, Embodied CREATRIX. It's just, I'll be there so you can hang out with me if nothing else, right? Like it's a super heartfelt, deep thing, and will be a life change, game changer. It was for me. It has been for me. So I'm looking forward to that.
Your thing happens before. So if that's right now, like get into that transmission.
Totally, guys. Come to my thing. Come to my thing. For mine, like as soon as you sign up, the energy work starts happening. And so it's that kind of thing. It happens really soon. So that's all I got. Love, love, love. Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.